Okay, so this lesson deals with this section on credit cards, and this is section 8.8, and this will be part 1. So there'll be two parts of this lesson, and this will be part 1. And basically in this part of the lesson, we're going to talk about how to calculate the interest or the minimum balance that you're going to owe on a credit card at the end of each billing cycle. All right, so notice I'm using the word billing cycle. So usually the billing cycle would be 30 days or 31 days depending on the month. But and it could vary from, let's say, June 4th through July 3rd, things like that. It doesn't have to always be at the beginning of the month and the end of the month. All right, so it's based on your billing cycle. Now, the other thing you got to remember, you need to talk about is that credit cards, if you look at your interest rate, those are very expensive. 18%, 24%. I mean, that's a pretty huge interest rate. So credit card interest rates are much higher than your fixed installment loans, like a car loan or a mortgage. Those interest rates are much lower, very low, compared to this. So the credit cards would be called an open-end installment loan, an open-end installment loan. So these are an open-end installment loan. Okay, so those differ from a fixed installment loan. So versus a fixed installment loan. And the most common fixed installment loans that you're familiar with would be a car loan and a mortgage. All right, now there are others that you probably deal with. Um, but a credit card would be a open-end installment loan. Now remember, a fixed installment loan, those your monthly payments are the same each month, whereas a credit card, it's based on a minimum payment. It's not a fixed amount every month at the end of a period. It's based on the balance and the interest rate. Okay, this right here. All right, so you'll notice that right now um, the average consumer in the United States, the credit card's about $15,000 at least. So it's a pretty huge amount. It's a pretty big debt. So if at all possible, try not using a credit card. Whenever you're trying to purchase a big item, see if uh, the company has some kind of um, plan to where you can get a low interest rate. And sometimes they do. But just keep in mind that credit cards have a very high interest rate, sometimes upwards to 28%, maybe even more depending on the credit card. Okay, so keep in mind that credit cards are open-ended and open-ended installment loans, and then car loans and mortgages would be a fixed installment loan. All right. Now, one other thing I have to mention is that when we use the formula to determine interest on a credit card, the uh, the units will be different than it was for a fixed installment loan. So we're going to talk about that when we get to it. Okay, so um, the most common method of determining your balance, how much you owe on a credit card at the end of each billing cycle, is called the average daily balance method. All right, and that's the one that your book's going to talk about. So there are other methods. So other methods, which your book doesn't discuss, but one of them would be called a previous balance method. And more, if you want to learn more about this, that's going to be some notes that are going to be in Canvas. If you want to know more about, well, what is a previous balance method and what is an adjusted an adjusted balance method. All right, but if you have a credit card, call your bank and see how your balance is determined, how your interest is determined that you would owe. Um, so it's probably going to be the average daily balance method compared to these. But this is a common one. Okay, so let's talk about how to use something like this. All right, so um, in Canvas, one of the things you had to download was this example. So you saw something like this. It's in Canvas. And the problem says this: the following credit card calculates interest using the average daily balance method. Okay. The monthly, and that should be monthly, interest rate is 1.1%. All right. So basically what happens is that in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and quickly figure this out. So in this particular case, the APR, the annual percentage rate, is, let's say, 13.2%. All right, that's low compared to many. So now remember, each month, at the end of each month, you're going to owe something, okay? And so what they do is they take your annual percentage rate and they divide it by 12. 13.2 divided by 12 equals percent divided by 12. So 13.2 divided by 12 is 1.1. 1.1%. And so that's where this number comes from. So if your interest rate's 18%, you divide by 12, and that's the percentage you're going to use for that month. Okay? All right, so that's where that comes from. All right, so the monthly interest rate is 1.1% of the average daily balance. The following problem shows the transactions that occurred between May 1st and May 31st billing period. So that's the billing period for this particular example. It doesn't always have to be the first of the month, the end of the month. Your billing cycle could vary depending on what your bank uses. Okay, now the first thing we need to do is find the average daily balance for the billing period, and then we're going to round to the nearest cent. Now this is going to be a lot of work. So when you do the example for worksheet, make sure you show all the steps as I'm doing on your own paper, scan it, and then submit it. Okay? All right, so we're going to figure out the part A, find the average daily balance for the billing cycle or the billing period. Okay, so keep in mind that here's, and usually we have more than this, but if you have a credit card, hopefully, though, you don't have much, and you can somehow pay off as much as you can to the end of the month, because you do. I mean, look how huge that is, but most of them are way above that. So in this example, the previous balance was $3,243, and I went ahead and made these whole numbers. Now, obviously, you know that when you purchase something, it's not always whole numbers, okay? All right, and then on May 1st, so you have a May 1st billing date. All right, and then on May 4th, you made a payment. So we made a payment of $250. So that's a $250 credit. On May 8th, you made a charge, $35. On May 12th, you made another charge, $120. On May 21st, you made another charge, $60. And then those are the only three charges you made, and then you made a credit. And then the end of the billing cycle, and then payment due would be June 9th. That will be your due date. Sometimes, keep in mind, if you don't make that due date, you get a late fee. So always keep that in mind as well. Okay? All right. So if you owe something and you have a balance due, you have a payment due rather, just make sure you make that deadline so you don't get any late fees. Okay. So here's what you have to do. All right. So let's talk about Part A. Part A. All right. So have this in front of you. You're gonna need this for Part A. All right. And so there's gonna be Part A. Okay. So we're going to begin by finding the average daily balance for the billing period. Okay, so first we're going to make a table. We're going to make a table that shows, just like this, that shows the beginning date of the billing period, each transaction date, and the unpaid balance for each date. Okay, so it's going to look like this: date, and then we're going to say the unpaid balance. Unpaid balance. Okay, so on May 1st, the balance, the unpaid balance was $3,243. Okay. All right. Then we continue on. On May 4th, and I may need some more room here. Then I should have left this off. So on May 4th, remember we made a payment, so there's a credit. So I'm going to take that amount, 3,243, subtract 250, and that's going to give me, so 3,243 minus 250, so $3,243 minus 250 equals, so my unpaid balance at that point on May 4th is $2,993. Okay. Then I made a charge on May 8th. So on May 8th, my unpaid balance now is $2,993 plus the charge of $35. And so now my unpaid balance is $3,028. Okay, and you continue on for each of these rows right here. Then on May 12th, I made another charge. May 12th. And so let's figure out what my unpaid balance is now. So it would be the previous one, which is $3,028 plus $120. And so now my unpaid balance is $3,148. Okay, continue on. Then on May 21st, I made another charge, so my unpaid balance on that day is $3,148 plus 60, which gives me $3,208. Okay? All right, so those are my unpaid balances at the end of each transaction period. All right? Okay, now, so listen carefully. We're now going to extend our table by adding 2 columns and make one column small, like this, and I'm not sure how much room we're going to need here, so I'm not going to put a side segment here. I'm just going to leave it like this. In this column, so I need for you to now add 2 columns, just like this. So we have the date, we have the unpaid balance. Now I need for you to add 2 columns. Just go ahead and add 2 columns. One column, this column here, is going to show the number of days at each unpaid balance. Okay? The number of days of each unpaid balance. Okay, that's going to be this column. You're going to see what I mean by that in a little while. Now, in this column, so let's go ahead and do this first. Okay, so on May 1st, so from May 1st to May 4th, okay? So that's May, listen carefully, that's May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right? May 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So for 3 days, y'all agree that was my balance. Then my balance changes on that day. Why does the balance change on May 4th? Well, that's because on May 4th, I made a payment. And my balance was $2,993 on what days? May 4th, count them, May 4th, May 5th, May 6th, May 7th. So for this unpaid balance, how many days was that amount? Well, it was 4. Then on May 8th, my balance changed. And so that's May 8th. Just count like we're doing. May 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Okay? So May 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. We don't do 12 because 12 we had a new balance. So May 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. So that's 4. So for 4 days, this was my balance. And then on May 12th through May 20th, right? So on May 12th through 20th, those were my balances. And so that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Did y'all get 14? 14 days? So do it again. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oops, I'm sorry, not 4 days. That's what? Let's do it again. All right. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 5. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 9 days, right? 9 days. All right, 9 days. And then from May 21st through the 31st. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and then one more, so that's 11. Okay, so that's what you have to do at that point. Okay, and then notice there are 31 days in that billing cycle. So hopefully this adds to be 31. 11 plus 9 is 20, 28, 29, 31. Okay, so 31. All right, now, okay, the final column. Let's go by the final column. The final column shows each unpaid balance multiplied by the number of days that the balance is outstanding. Okay, just go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. And then at the end, you'll understand why we did this. So it's the unpaid balance. Go ahead and do it. When you do the work, make sure you do it just like this. The unpaid balance times the number of days. Okay? The unpaid balance times the number of days. All right, so basically you're going to say this. This unpaid balance was 3,243 number of days. So you take this, multiply by that. So that's 3,243 times 3 equals, so 3,243 times 3 equals $9,729. Okay? All right, now do the next one. 2,993 times 4 equals 11,972. Okay? Then do the next one. 3,028 times 4 equals 12,112. Do the next one. 3,148 times 9 equals 28,332. And then finally 3,208 times 11 equals 35,288. Okay? All right, now here's what that means. Here's what it is that we just found and what we're interested in finding. Okay, so listen carefully. Okay, so remember, we're in the problem, what we're trying to do is find the average daily balance. Find the average daily balance. Well, in that word, in those words, is the word average. The word average. Do you remember how to find the average? Let's say you have, number one, let's say you want to find the average of 3 and, let's say 6. How do you find the average of 3 and 6? Well, remember, you add them up, so the average will be 3 plus 6, and you divide by 2, right? So it'll be 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So remember how to find the average? So to find the average, you add up your entries, let's say, and then you divide by how many you have. Okay, you remember how to do that, right? Okay, So basically, let's suppose that this is May, all right, and for each day in May, May 1st, let's say I had $10. May 2nd, let's say I had $10, all the way to May 31st. What is the average daily balance? What is so if all of those are $10, right? If all of those are $10, what's the average daily balance? Well, you agree it has to be 10, right? Average is 10. So my average is 10 because they're all 10. 10. So for example, number 2, let's say I had 10 plus 10 divided by 2. What's the average of 10 and 10? Well, that's 20 divided by 2, which is 10. So the average is 10, right? Okay. So rather than saying 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 31 times, you can just say 10 times how many times it occurs. And so 10 times 31, and so it's going to be 310, right? It's going to be 310. And then you would take, to find the average, you would take 310 divided by 31 days, and that gives you 10. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. That's the purpose of this table right here. That's the purpose of this table. So for example, let's look at it again. So from May 1st, let's say we went from May 1st through the 3rd, we had this. So let's say this, May 1st, 2nd, 3rd. It was 3,243 each time. Y'all agree? And I'm not going to do the whole 31. That would be ridiculous to do, because I think you'll get it. You'll understand once I get the next one. And then, so for 4 days, May 4th through the 7th, May 4th, my balance was 2,993. And that was true on the 5th. That was true on the 6th. And that was true on the 7th. And then on the 8th, my balance is 3,028. And that was true on the 9th. That was true on the 10th. And that was true on the 11th. Okay, so notice how many days was this amount? 1, 2, 3. What do you see here? 3. How many days was this amount? 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you see? 4. How many days was this amount? 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you see? 4. And then we would continue on, right? We continue on. But here's the thing. So remember right here when we talked about this, so if each day my amount was $10, rather than adding this thing up 31 times, I can say 10 times what? 31. And that will give me the total, and I just divide by how many entries I have, which would be 31. So rather than saying 243 plus 243, so rather than saying 3,243 plus 3,243 plus 3,243 plus 2,993 plus 2,993 plus 2,993 plus 2,993 and so on, you know from experience that you can just say this, 3 times 2,243 plus 4 times 2,993. And now do you see where this is coming from? You see this? 3 times 2,204, that should be 3,000. 3,243, that's this. And then 4 times 2,993, that's this. And then so on. Okay? So, that's what this column represents. That column represents this idea. All right, so you should understand now why we did this column. Okay, now, let's go ahead and find the total, just like we did here. So remember when we added all those 10s, we got 310. All right, let's do the total. So my total is going to be, I got to add all these. So 9,729 plus 11,972 plus 12,112 plus 28,332 plus 35,000. Oops. I think I may have messed this thing up right here. Let me just double check because that's a lot more than this. So 3,208 times 11. Yeah, so I had an extra 8. All right, so I'll take this 8 off. So let's do it again. 9729 plus 11,972 plus 12,112 plus 28,332 and then plus 35,288. And that gives me 97,433. Now remember what that means. That means all those days added together gives me this. But I want to find the average daily balance. So to find the average, I take that amount and divide by the number of days. And how many days in this period? 31. That was needed. And so I get divided by 31, I get 3,143. Okay, so that was the average daily balance. Now let me explain what that means. That means that on average for those 31 days, see how this was the same amount? That means that on average for those 31 days, my average balance was 3,143. So 3,143, 3,143, 3,143 for all of those 31 days. That's what that means. All right, now, okay, so that was part A. So part A, find the average daily balance for the billing period and then round to nearest cent. Well, there wasn't any decimal involved here, so I just left it like that. All right, part A. Okay, now part B. So let's talk about part B. So part B says, next, find the interest to be paid on June 1st, the next billing date, and then round to the next billing date. That is supposed to be round to the, okay, so I made a mistake here. So that's round to the nearest cent. Right, nearest cent. All right, so round to nearest cent, make that correction. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. So this is part B. So you're going to find the interest to be paid now, okay? All right. So remember the interest rate is this, 1.1% per month, okay? All right. So now we're going to find the interest to be paid on June 1st, Okay. All right. The monthly interest rate, remember the monthly interest rate in this case is 1.1%. Okay, that's what you were told, of the average daily balance. So this is 1.1% of the average daily balance. Okay, all right. So the interest due, so we're going to use the interest formula, simple interest formula. I interest equals principal times rate times time. Interest equals principal times rate times time. And so the interest then will be the average daily principal or balance. So it'll be this amount. So that's going to be your P, that amount, times the rate, which is this amount, 0.011, right? 0.011 times the time. Now remember the time is at 1 month, so we're going to just say 1. Because remember this is not 1.1% per year, this is 1.1% per month. So that's why you see a 1 here for that 1 month. Okay? And so I get 3,143 times 0.011 times 1 equals $34. All right, and we're going to round to nearest tenth, so that's $34.57, right? Okay, $34.57. So that's the interest or the finance charge. Sometimes it's called the finance charge. The finance charge for that billing cycle. Okay, so any questions at that point? All right, so that was part B. So we found part B. So my finance charge, my interest, is $34.57. Okay? All right, part C. Part C says, now find the balance on June 1st. Find the balance on June 1st. Well, so the balance on June 1st is going to be the next billing date. Which, okay, June 1st is the next billing date, right? Okay. So the balance due, you're going to say this, the balance due will be the previous balance, which is this, okay, previous balance, well, that's your previous balance, right? 3,208, okay, 3,208, so it'll be the previous balance plus the interest, so that's the previous balance, or I should say maybe the unpaid balance. Let me just do it that way so you don't get that confused with something else. So let's say the unpaid balance on May 31st, the end of the billing period. So you'll agree that this right here is from May 21st all the way to May 31st. That's your unpaid balance. So the unpaid balance on May 31st plus the interest. That'll be the interest or the finance charge, which is $34.57, and that's going to equal so 3,208 plus $34.57, and that's going to equal $3,242.57. So that's your balance due. Okay, that's your balance due. So at the end of that billing cycle, what that means is this: if you have that money, you pay it, and then your credit card is a zero balance. That's what that means. But if you don't have that money, then you got to at least pay the minimum payment, right? You have to at least pay the minimum payment. All right, so let's kind of determine how that is. Okay, so usually, listen to this carefully. So usually, if you owe a lot, let's say over $1,000, this is, you got to talk with your bank to see what they do. It varies from bank to bank, but usually if you owe a lot over $1,000, your minimum payment is based on your balance. So it's usually 2%. Sometimes it's 2%, okay? All right. If you owe some, let's say less than $1,000, your minimum payment will probably be a fixed dollar amount, sometimes $25, $30, whatever it may be, but it can vary by card. Okay, so every card has a fixed rate for minimum payments. If you owe very little, then you would just pay it off. All right, let's say you owe $30 or something like that, you would just pay it off. Okay. So in this example, the balance due is quite a bit. It's more than $1,000. So usually, remember what we said. So sometimes if you owe less than $1,000, then this would probably be your minimum payment. So it says this credit card requires a $30 minimum monthly payment if the balance due at the end of the month is less than $400. All right, so this is less than $400, right? Okay. Otherwise, the minimum payment is $136. Now, in this particular case, it's $136. Now, if you look at your calculator, if you do 1 divided by 36, that is 2.8%, right? 2.8%. So here's what you got to figure out. Okay, listen carefully. What's my balance due? This amount. Do I pay the $30? Yes or no? I only pay the $30 if my balance at the end of the period is less than 400. Is this less than 400? No. So what do I need to do? I've got to pay that amount. That's what I have to do. I have to pay that amount. Okay? So based on this amount exceeds that $400, right? That amount exceeds that $400. So what I'm going to do now is this. So the minimum monthly payment, so this is part D, the minimum monthly payment is going to equal, okay? So remember, this says 1/36 of the balance due. So that means 1/36 times $3,242.57. And so when I use a calculator, this really means this, guys. It really means $3,242.57 divided by 36, because 1 times, when we multiply fractions, this is really that over 1. So the numerators multiplied together is this, the denominators multiplied together is this. And so if I use a calculator on this, I get $3,242.57 divided by 36 equals $90. So actually it's 90.07. But let me mention this to you. Usually what you'll see, though, is a whole dollar amount. You won't see anything like the 0.07. So they round up. They don't round off, they round up. So your minimum monthly payment, okay, remember, you round up. So regardless of what this decimal is, you're gonna add 1 to this. So the minimum monthly payment is $91. Okay, so that's your minimum monthly payment. Okay? All right, and that amount is due on June 9th. That amount's due on June 9th. It must be paid. The minimum monthly payment is $91, must be paid by June 9th. Okay? All right, so that's the first example. All right, let's take another example just like this. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. The second example is going to take the same amount of time. So I'm going to go ahead and make this one lesson, and then we're going to do another. I'll give you another one like this. So remember, the other one is this. That's the other one. And so you notice this one has no. These are not whole numbers for the most part. This one is, but that'll be the second one. So that's going to be the second video for this lesson. So let me go ahead and make this one video, because that's 37 minutes now, and then I'll do the other one.